It needs to go up a little bit. Not that short. Oh, am I already on? Wow. Look, the guys back there are giving me a thumbs up already. So, hello. Hi. How are you? Can you hear me okay? Am I on? Am I on? Can you hear me? I don't know. I don't have my hearing aids in, so I can't hear me. So, good luck to all of you, because I don't know if I'm protruding out here. Okay, so if we're good, are we good? There we go. All right. So, hello to all of you here. Hello to all of you on YouTube. As Pastor Les just said, I am Sarah Ditto. I am the associate pastor here at Irresistible Church. I have been ministering with this church since 2008, and I am, as he stated, for those of you here, a retired Air Force chaplain, where I did get the opportunity and privilege to preach all over the world to a lot of different ethnic groups, and I bring some of that back with me every single time that I come up here to you guys, because I did learn a lot in my time as a chaplain, but I think my favorite part about it is that I retired from it. That means I get to be with you guys all the time, unless it's swim season. So, the notes for all of this today will be on the Bible app, thanks to my amazing husband who spent last night taking care of all that, and there'll be notes up here behind me as well for those of you here. So if you need to find them on the Bible app, just search by location here, and it'll be out there for you. I don't think a link went out on Facebook. Oh, he's nodding, yes, it did. He took care of that too. Okay, I was going to say, I don't think we did it, but we did, so I love it. All right, so as Pastor Les said, today's message is titled Armed and Dangerous. As I found out that, well, technically I was supposed to preach like 3 weeks ago, and the week prior, Pastor Les came up to me and said, hey, what's your message for next week? I go, what? He goes, it's the fifth Sunday. You preach on the fifth Sunday. And I go, what? Had no idea what was going on. Totally had lost track of time. And he said, that's okay, because he wanted to finish his series anyways, and let me do the week between his series. And I said, that's perfect. That gives me 3 weeks. So last week I sat down to write the message, because, you know, procrastination is a great thing. And I started thinking and praying, and I was like, God, what are we going to do? Because we're ending a series, and we're going to start another one, and how do you want me to kind of come in the middle here? And I started really rereading a lot of my notes that I've been taking over the last couple of months as Pastor Les taught us about being dressed to kill. If you missed any of his messages, go back on YouTube and find them, because he went through for 2 months and taught us how to wear our armor properly as Christians. He taught us to be dressed for these spiritual battles that are all around us. He taught us what each and every piece of armor meant. He showed us how Paul took the Roman soldier to show us what the Roman soldier did and use his armor as to what we should do as Christians, and why each of those pieces of armor is important, and why you shouldn't miss any of them. So when I started thinking about that, before he goes into his next series, I wanted to talk about becoming that warrior that we're now dressed for. Now that we have all of our armor, and we have our armor in place, and we know how to wear it, that's not where our mission ends. Just because we're all dressed up and ready to go doesn't mean we just go sit on the couch and hang out, right? So when I was in the military, I did serve, like I said, for 21 years. I joined when I was 17. And one of the first things they taught us in basic training was how to wear our uniform, how to put on our uniform properly. Now, that might seem like a very simple thing to most civilians. You look at us when we're in a uniform and you're like, yeah, you put on pants and a jacket and you're good to go. There is a lot of ins and outs to putting on that uniform. Anyone that's been in the military will tell you that. Any cop will tell you that. Firefighter, if you don't put your armor on right when you go into those fires, it's not going to work like it was supposed to. They weren't just handing us this uniform and saying, here, good luck, right? They trained us in what to do. We had drills in putting it on fast. We had drills to make sure that we knew where each and every piece went and how to iron this and how to make sure that looked right. And we were expected to practice that regularly until it became an instinctive part of us. That goes along with our weapons. We weren't just handed a weapon and said, here, good luck. go to war. No, we were trained. You do not go into war without a trusted weapon. Every hunter in here will tell you that you don't just pick up a bow and walk out there and shoot dinner and bring it home. I mean, that would be great. But you practice, right? You go out there and you learn your weapon. You make sure that you take that time to figure out how your weapon works. I remember years and years and years ago when Destry and I were first dating and stuff, I bought a gun because it was small, it fit my hand, and I loved it. And me and him and his dad went out shooting, and I couldn't hit anything. And I'm like, I have like expert shooting, like I can shoot. What is going on? And his dad handed me another gun and said, here, try this one. And I shot everything perfect. He said, you have the wrong gun. It doesn't work for you. Something as simple as that, I didn't have the right weapon. I wasn't trained in that weapon. You don't just go out there and start picking up pieces of your armor and willy-nilly putting them on. Pastor Les told you how to start properly putting things on and how each and every piece fits together. And in this church, we've constantly reminded each and every one of us about the battles that are going on around us. We are taught in this church who our true enemy is. It's not that person that cut you off on the way to church this morning. So today, I really want to take a deeper look at what we do with this armor. What do we do now that we have it? What do we do now that we were taught how to put it on? My goal today is to help take us from the step of being armed to being armed and dangerous for God. There's an author named Frank Peretti, and he wrote a book years ago, This Present Darkness, and his paragraph here is something that I felt was like truly inspiring as to what we are still doing today. And this book was written years ago. I mean, I remember it being on my bookshelves at home when I was a kid. Like, it's always been around. But he states, spiritual warfare is all-encompassing. It touches every area of our lives, our families, our relationships, our church, our neighborhoods, our communities, our places of employment. There is virtually no part of our existence over which the evil one does not want to maintain or reassert his unhealthy and perverse influence. Conversely, Jesus longs to reign as Lord over every area of our lives. Battles are everywhere around us. They're being fought each and every day. Now, there will be times when you're further from the action. When I was in, like I said, active duty in the military, we were home training. So I wasn't too close to the action. And then they would send us over and we would go and do our job. There are times when we're just back here as support, supporting those who are in the battle at that time. And there's times when we're on the front lines. Either way, you have to know how to be armed and dangerous. Every type of battle that we will face today was covered based off of the armor that we got taught how to put on. As Christians, we are all soldiers in the army of God. If you didn't know that, you know it now, because we are all out there fighting this battle. And if you haven't watched the news lately to see that that is so true, that we are all ready to be fighting, that the baton was passed and is now up to all of us, just be ready, because we are all out there fighting this battle. And this mission's getting big. This mission's getting big. You better be armed and ready. Just as we learned about our armor, we also need to learn to always have it on and be dressed and ready for battle. You know, when we were on deployments and stuff, you slept with your weapon. You literally had it with you all the time, because who knew what was going to happen? We were always ready. And Romans 8:37 says, in everything we have won more than a victory, because Christ who loves us. Meaning we've already won. We've already won that battle. The war is already won. If you haven't read the end of the Bible, you know, Revelation, go read it. It's okay. I've been told by so many people, Oh, you can't read that. Yes, you can. You can read it. I promise. It's okay. You really should read it. Because if you want to be ready for battle, you need to know what the battle is. If you want to know what battle is going on, you need to know what the battle is. And it's all in Revelation. Everything's out there for us. Get a good study Bible on the book of Revelation and study it. We're all still fighting battles, even if this war is already won. There's little skirmishes going on all over the place, even if the war is already won. Through God, we are already victors. Now that, to me, is pretty cool. We already know we won. I saw someone, I was reading some posts on Facebook this week, and someone said something about being victorious when they mentioned the death of Charlie Kirk, that he was victorious in this. And it's like, it was fun to read the comments. I mean, I don't know about you, but I grabbed the popcorn and just read, because sometimes comments can be just so fun to read. But most people understood that. No, he's not down here anymore. Yes, his family misses him. Yes, the country misses him. But he is victorious because he already won. He won. We're already victors, you guys. We're already victors. It doesn't mean that we won't fight battles. It doesn't mean that there won't be hard days. It doesn't mean that everything is going to be grand and wonderful. It just means we have to remember the main objective. That in the end, our goal is to have more on the winning side than the losing side. As a Christian, our goal is to have more people go to heaven than to hell. And our goal is to make heaven crowded. People watch you every single day. People watch the battles that you're going through. They watch to see how you're going to react. And if you want them on the winning side, then they should see Jesus through all of it. We don't have to go looking for battles. Trust me, they're already there. And especially when you start stepping out for God, Satan's going to bring those battles to you. We just have to remember that we've already won. The battles right now that we are all in as Christians are getting more intense, and that should lead each and every one of us as Christians to know that the end is drawing near. That could be tomorrow, that could be still another 150 years away. It's nearer than it was. Either way, with these battles getting more intense and more people trying to silence the truth, it's time for all of us to stand up and speak the truth and make sure everyone hears it. So the main points that I was going to go over today is this. We need to make sure that as Christians, we remember these 5 things. We need to stay strong. We need to put on our armor. We need to stand firm. We need to pray. And we need to remain alert. We're going to look at each one of these a little bit today. First one, we're going to go to Ephesians 6, verse 10. It says, "Let the mighty strength of the Lord make you strong." I don't know about you, but when I read that, I get a huge sigh of relief. Because God is telling us that we don't have to be strong on our own. We don't have to figure out where our strength comes from, because he's telling us it's his strength that makes us strong. When you don't feel strong, it's okay, because he is. He never loses his strength. He never fails to give us his strength, because he's telling us that he will make us all strong. Anyone here ever feel better, like when you just feel weak, when you get like a hug from that best friend or that spouse that just, it makes you just feel better? I know when I feel weak, I lean on Destry, and he'll always just tell me, "I'm giving you my strength." He just puts his hand on my back or something. "I'm giving you my strength." And I know I can count on him to help me. I know I have friends that when I start crying, they give me hugs and they just hold on. But as much as I know that I have my husband and my friends and my family that will help me and strengthen me, it's nothing compared to what my God does. He has even more strength to give me. And he's giving those people strength that are handing you theirs as well. All of our strength needs to come from God, and we need to know that we don't have to be strong in the midst of the battle, because our God is. We need to recognize at all times where our power truly comes from. God tells us that he is the one fighting. It's his strength that we use. We never enter a battle alone. So after you know where your strength comes on, now is the time that you put on all of that armor that Pastor Les taught us about. Now is the time when you go through the process of making sure each piece is in order. You put on each and every step, one by one. Get everything in order and never skip a piece of your armor. Each and every piece of our armor is very vital in every battle we go through. So if you skip something, it could be detrimental to you. There is a reason why Paul laid everything out the way he did, showing us all those different pieces of armor, because it's important that we don't miss it. And once you're dressed and you're armed and you're ready, now is the time that you stand firm or hold your ground. And I looked it up, and stand your ground has two separate meanings. It's a defensive posture of not giving up any ground, or it can be an offensive posture of actively opposing something. And I found it interesting that one phrase can be offensive and defensive at the same time. Think about it. You're not giving up any ground, and you're actively opposing something. You're actively doing something. It's an active thing. And you're also making sure you don't give up any of that ground. God has brought you to this point, not for you to back up and give the devil some more room, but for you to continually stand your ground and keep him out. When God tells us to stand our ground and to take our stand, it also tells us that there is battles going on, and we are in it. We're in the middle of it. The events of the past few weeks have shown us as Christians that these battles are getting more intense. The devil does not want any more people coming to God. But I want you to know each and every one of us out there are not fighting alone. Not only do we have each and every one of us together and standing together, but we also have our God, because he is always with us, no matter what. We need to remember that God always gives us his protection. We have his protection. And in the battle, we are not to just stand there and let the devil do as he wants. We're to stand firm, not let the enemy push you backwards, and remember at all times that our battle is a spiritual one. It's not a battle with the people around you. It's a spiritual battle. As with every aspect of the Christian walk, it is vitally important that we continue to stay prayed up. You have to stay prayed up in this world that we're living in. 1 Thessalonians 5:17 says, pray without ceasing. Pray without ceasing. I still remember when I read an article, I think it was Kenneth Copeland, they asked him, how often do you pray? And he says, I never pray more than 15 minutes. But I never go more than 15 minutes without praying. And it makes you think, like, you know what? You can have that constant conversation going on with God all day long. He hears you. He's listening. He's with you. And he wants you to talk to him. So pray without ceasing. Romans 12:12 says, rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, and be consistent in prayer. Whew, that patient word. I don't like that one. But be patient in tribulation. That right there tells us that, you know what? There will be battles. There will be struggles. But God is saying, rejoice in the hope that you've already won. Be patient while these things are going on, but continue to pray. All of our fighting and battling must be done with constant prayer. There is no formula to praying. As a pastor, I always say we don't have some secret like bat line to God. We all can pray. It always amazes me when people find out you have a title to your name, and they're like, oh, well, you're a pastor, you can pray. I often tell them, yeah, but that means you can too. Like, it has no difference. God's not going to hear one of us more than he hears you just because we have a title. God hears all of us, and he answers all of our prayers. He just wants you to talk to him and pray to him. Also in battle, one of the final points is we need to remain alert. This is an aspect of being in battle that my military mind was trained in, and it is like second nature still to me at this point. It's something that I've had a lot of training in, to the point where everywhere I go still to this day, I may have been retired for 3.5 years, but I'm always looking around at who's around me. Where's the exits? Who's around? Who's behind me? Who can hear what conversation I'm having? I mean, even yesterday, we took our kids out, and we were sitting around a fire pit just talking, and I kind of just smiled because Destry and I both took the position on the opposite side of the fire pit to where we could see everything going on. Our girls may not have noticed it, but we had to be there where between the two of us, we had observation on everything because we were remaining alert. Because in this world, you just never know. On some of my military deployments that I was on, as soon as I would land in a country, my first job was to report in everything that I saw and heard on every plane and every country that I was in. Make sure that everything was written down for the future so that they would know what was going on. What did I see? What did I hear? What kind of movements was I noticing? Did I notice certain people? Things like that. You had to remain alert to report in. And God is telling us, you need to remain alert. There's a lot going on around this world, and our job as a Christian soldier is to remain alert. He tells us in 1 Peter 5, he says, stay alert and watch out for your great enemy, the devil. He prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. So stand firm against him and be strong in your faith. He's telling us, stay alert, be strong in your faith. 1 Thessalonians 5:6 says, others may sleep, but we should stay awake and alert. Now, that's not meaning you never go to sleep again. It's not what that means. However, it means you need to make sure you know what's going on around you. You need to be prayed up and ready to go. That means, as we always say, when your feet hit the ground, the devil goes, oh, man, they're up. Whew. Because he knows that you're awake and alert. Mark 13:33 says, keep a sharp lookout, for you do not know the timetable. Satan will attack us in many ways. He'll lie to us. He'll accuse us of things that we know we didn't do. He'll plant random thoughts in your head to make you wonder what's going on. He'll plant temptations in your way. He'll just plain out attack you. He'll knock you off balance. All these attacks can come in so many different ways. They can come from your neighbor, your coworker. They can come from your family, that blood relative that you didn't think would do that to you. But Satan will use anyone, which is why we need to ensure that we are always ready and alert. Your next attack can come in any different direction. It can come from any which way. It can come from in the ways of finances when you start tithing more. It can come in the way of a job. It can come in the way of your family, your friends, your health. And it usually comes when you're least expecting it. Isaiah 54:17 says, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. No weapon. It doesn't matter what attack. No weapon that is formed against you will prosper because you are a child of God. 2 Chronicles 20:15 says, for the battle is not yours, but it is the Lord's. It is not your battle to fight. Yes, we're fighting in the battle, but God is the one fighting. In Psalm 18 says, he rescued me from my enemies and my foes. He's telling us right now, you're already the victor. You've already won. And it's not our battle. It is time as a church capital C, that means all of us Christians together, that we take that stand and we stand up. The movements in this country have already started to bring our country back to God. Our country was founded on God and godly principles, and it is moving back that way. And there is resistance in that. But I'll tell you what, each and every one of us have a part to play in that. And you might think, well, I'm just, little old me from Mansfield, Ohio. That doesn't mean that God's not going to use you. We cannot remain silent any longer. This next generation coming up is waking up. This next generation is waking up. And if you haven't seen it, go to a high school football game and listen. Go to a college football game and listen. I only use football because that's the sport that's really playing right now. You can probably go when the basketball season is and see the same thing, and baseball season to see the same thing. These kids are waking up, and they're realizing that it is their country to take back. While we've been fighting all these battles for us and for our generation, for the generations to come, they're waking up and seeing all of us fighting, and they're coming alongside, and they're moving to the front lines, guys. They're ready to fight because they've seen all of us fighting. It's like in the military, those of us that get older, we retire and move on, and we leave it to the next generation. It's the same thing going on. It's not saying that we're retiring from the church and moving on. It's just saying that it's time to bring in those younger generations and show them that, look, we have your back still because God's got our back, and we're all lined up together. As a church, we need to be armed and dangerous. When we wake up, Satan should tremble. As soldiers of God, we need to ensure that we are putting on our full armor daily. Yes, it may seem tedious. Yes, it may seem like, why do I have to put on each and every one of these pieces? But I'm telling you what, God needs you ready. He needs you ready for battle at any time. This whole year, in one way or another, we've been talking about how to be a warrior for God and how to be that warrior that God needs you to be in this world. And now that we've learned how to put on our armor and how to use it, we're going to go into the next step starting next week when Pastor Les starts his next series, and it's going to be on communion. And you might sit there and wonder, like, well, what all does that mean? I mean, we do it every Sunday right now as a way of remembering God. But this is going to be your next step, church. It's going to be your next step in understanding exactly what pieces God has put in place for us. He's going to explain to us exactly what communion truly means and how that's going to help you in this war and this battle that we are in. It's the next way that we're going to learn to fight. So don't miss it. Plan to be with us because I'm not sure how many weeks it's going to be. 6 weeks, and then we get into the holidays. Oh, we got some excitement there. So with that, I'm going to turn you over to my amazing parents.
Hi. Be my crutch here. Thank you. My cane. Cain and Abel. Hey, hi. Welcome. Thank you for being with us today. Gosh, it sure is great that you all join us. We meet here every Sunday. Love to have you come inside and just have some fun with us. We laugh and we pray together. We cry together. We're a family. We'd love to have you be a part of it here inside these walls. So we'll be looking for you next week. God bless. Jesus loves you. We love you. And what a wonderful God we serve. See you next week.